look around at these faces in this crowd. Take a good look around. This is America the Beautiful. And it's worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Your children are worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for.
Welcome to today's current events in the world we are living in. I'm your host, Pastor Chris Morgan. Thanks for joining me today. The attack on sovereignty, both individually and nationally, has become increasingly clear. There are no blurred lines or mixed messages anymore. Leaders of such organizations as the WHO, World Health Organization, UN, United Nations, and the World Economic Forum, along with their own national leaders, are all working together for the same goal, a new world order. It's undeniable for anyone paying attention, even though they divert attention away from their real agenda by their ideological words and swell phrases of a promised better world or future utopia. But it will be anything but that, as the last of all human freedoms are being stripped away. Today, thankfully, leaders from around the world are realizing the attack on sovereignty and are sounding the alarm and are pushing back, hopefully before it's too late. This attack on freedom is not new at all. We have been warned, both past and present, as you're about to see.
We're undergoing a soft coup, and the idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate in the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative. Also, we will be subject, if they can make this work, to vaccines developed in 100 days, which the organization CEPI is planning to do. And one of the people who founded CEPI was Jeremy Farrar, who is now the chief scientist at the WHO, to bring this forward. Other things that amendments do is to bind the states so they're no longer recommendations but enforceable edicts, provide a liability shield, get rid of intellectual property rights, move supplies from one country to another, enforce digital passports, and the Director General of WHO can demand that a pandemic or a potential pandemic exists. He can just declare it with no standards, and then countries around the world will have to obey. Also, the WHO will tell you what drugs you can and can't use in your nation once a pandemic is declared. Obviously, the budget will increase. One Health is another part of this. One Health is a concept that was created to enable the WHO, with these documents, to take over jurisdiction of everything in the world by saying that climate change, animals, plants, water systems, ecosystems are all central to health. Also embedded in this concept is a peculiar notion that humans are no longer of greater value than animals.
Who, you ask, is selling you the virus and the narrative? The ones that are unlawfully looking to take control of your lives. The same foxes that are guarding the chicken coop. Let me explain. We now know that the head of the WHO, the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, is the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, influenced Director General of WHO. Yet, he isn't even a trained medical doctor. Furthermore, he is also a member of the Marxist-Leninist Ethiopian political party known as Tigray People's Liberation Front, otherwise known as TPLF, which ruled Ethiopia for the last 27 years, and some have listed as a perpetrator of terrorism.
Shortly to warn people from upcoming danger for humanity. The World Health Organization wants all countries to sign an agreement on handing over the authority to declare a pandemic, procure vaccine and drugs. It will be healthier and safer for humanity to sign agreement with the Colombian drug cartel. They know all about drugs for sure. During the COVID pandemic, World Health Organization only told lies. It should be declared a terroristic organization. They lied. That is a new and known virus. That is possible to make an effective vaccine. That the vaccine is 82% effective. That it protects against serious illness and deaths. That all, of course, were foolish and lies.
And yes, we were warned long ago as well.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Now, here are the aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2, higher and then much higher taxes. 3, an increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. 4, wild inflation of our currency. 5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6, greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied naturally and automatically by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. 7, far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. 8, the steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. 9, a constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace, peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself.
Now look around. Look around at these faces in this crowd. Take a good look around. This is America the Beautiful. And it's worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Your children are worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for.
And I think you'll agree, yes, our freedom is worth fighting for. Make no mistake about it, though, this is more than a political or cultural battle. It is a spiritual one at the very core, one that the Bible predicted would come upon the world in the last days. So what are we to do? What action plan should we take? Number one, I want to encourage you as a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ to win the battle of prayer. We win battles on our knees. Number two, publicly oppose evil. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. We must find ourselves on God's side, or we'll be found wanting both now and for eternity. Number three, we must not wait to win souls because the harvest is already here. Look around. People really do need Jesus and they want to know the truth. Number four, we don't wait for the lukewarm church. We must be the change we want to see. And that is what I want to encourage you with today. Hey, I'm your host, Pastor Chris Morgan. Leave me a comment below. Share this with someone else. Leave me a like, and I'll see you next time for another current events in the world we live in.